But yeah, so let's actually go through the Detroit Lions season prediction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read through our regular season schedule. I'm not going to talk about preseason because let's be honest, we want our players to end up healthy. We don't really care. We'd be excited to win preseason games, but we'd rather win those 17-plus games going into the regular season. So I'm just gonna say who we're playing at in week 1, week 2, week 3, etc. And you're just gonna say
just who
win or
wins,
lose.
yeah.
Yep. So Josh, I'm gonna you're gonna keep track of it either in the recording or on the tally on your phone. So Lions at Green Bay on September 7th for week 1.
Lions continue.
Lions
Lions win.
Yep. So I do say I think the Packers win this one. I'm a little hesitant away for that first growing pains, but we'll do. So we have Lions, Packers. Yep. So the Lions season opens up September 7th, 2025 at 4:25 p.m. Central Time in Green Bay against the Green Bay mother-loving Packers as
shout out Tom Grossi.
Tom Grossi, the man. My favorite Packers fan out there. But yeah, so how do you think the Lions do in Green Bay to start the season? 2 new coordinators, almost a whole brand new interior offensive line. But we have Hutchinson back. We got a presumably mostly healthy defense minus a couple key pieces, such as Aleem McNeil, Malcolm Rodriguez, who's, once again more of a depth guy. But, Alex Anzalone sounds like that they've reached an agreement. I don't have quite the details right now. That might be a future season. So, it sounds like most of our defense will be back, as well as having arguably the best safety duo in football and a lot of talent out there at the corner. Surprisingly, the secondary we might not have to worry about as much this season. Barring injuries, of course, knock on wood. I don't have any wood to knock on. Actually, there's wood behind on the green screen. But yeah, so Green Bay, week 1.
Yeah, I think you're looking at another frustrated Matt LaFleur face. That there's just something about this team, the way that they can match up against the Packers, and it just to no end. Those Packer fans are going to be fired up. It's going to be crazy atmosphere opening week. They got the Lions have had their number, and that they really want to beat us bad. But in the end, we're going to make the plays that are necessary there. It's going to be Lions victory, probably right in that 4-6 range, just close enough to make the Packers think, "Oh, we really should have had that one." But 1-0 Lions coming out of Lambeau Field, our second home away from home now.
Brad, how do you think the Lions fare in week 1 against the Green Bay Packers?
So I predict a win. However, I also predict the offense to struggle and the defense to save them. But I do have a win.
Yeah, we saw that a lot last year where most teams had trouble just scoring at all. It just, there's that argument of a shorter preseason, longer season, not wanting to play starters with a longer season. So there is definitely that argument, and definitely something we could definitely see happen as well. Jordan Love, former MSU wide receiver Jalen Reed. It's where the NFL draft was. So we'll start once again, ladies first. Tori, how did the Lions do in their first game against the Packers at Green Bay?
Oh, they're going to win.
All right, Tyler?
I got Jordan Love throwing 3 interceptions.
3 interceptions.
With the Lions win.
I like that. Any of those return for touchdowns, Tyler?
I can't tell you that much.
Okay.
I saw 3 interceptions.
All right, the site doesn't go that far in the future. Okay, that's awesome. Calvin, how do the Lions do in Green Bay in week 1?
We're taking the dub. I mean, it's the Packers again. They're not going to be as good as they were last year. I mean, they're lucky to have 11 wins. I mean, they were just a blocked field goal away from going 0-6 in the division, almost getting swept by everyone. And, even just splitting with Chicago is just embarrassing itself. I think that we're going to go in there. It's going to be a closer game just because, our starters tend to not play as well those first couple games.
Yeah,
just
start off
because
a little slow.
They start off a little slow just
blocks.
because they don't play the starters in the preseason. I can see it being one of those week 1 Rams games from last year where we end up winning it in overtime. I could see it being another 20-20 Jake Bates walk-off field goal game.
What makes you say specifically that the Packers won't be as good as they were before? Because I've talked to some people and some of them like the Packers. So I guess I'm just curious, what makes you think that the Packers, on the Packers side of things, how are they less off than they were before?
So their quarterback's just not that good. He's decent, but he's not as great as they say he is. Their offensive line is just mid-tier of the NFL. And then instead of an NFL draft this year, they go for a wide receiver. Yeah, Golden can be a good target, but you still have 4 wide receiver 2s on your roster. You don't have a true wide receiver 1, And even like Christian Watson, you could say that maybe he can step up into that role, but then he's also just not as good and always injured. And Josh Jacobs, I mean, he
can ball.
He can ball. He could be a solid running back and piece for this Packers offense, but I feel like our run defense this year is going to be so much better, adding Tyreek Williams and then having Hutchinson back and just everyone being back on the defense. I mean, we beat the Packers twice without Hutchinson last year. We beat the Packers that second game with just a bunch of practice squad guys on our defense, and we're not really missing too many guys on our offense this year.
Yeah, and the big thing, too, at least regarding the context of the Packers last year, is there's the argument of how much better did they get? Because last year they dominated against bad teams, the exception of the Chicago Bears, and they performed pretty poorly against other winning teams. Obviously the Lions dominated bad teams, but they also played pretty damn good against some of the best teams in football as well.
Yeah.
So there is that argument. The Vikings also beat a lot of really good teams on their way to 14-3. So it's just it's really just going to be, can Jordan Love take that next step? Did they improve because they need to improve based off of what they did last year? And can their offense do it? Because Josh Jacobs can only do so much by himself.
Yeah.
So
they also they lost A.J. Dillon in the offseason, who was a solid running back too.
He didn't really play much last year.
And he didn't play much last year either, so.
Yeah, but he's kind of over the hill too. He's been there for a couple of years. More of a bruiser, but, not as impactful as a Josh Jacobs or in Detroit a David Montgomery to a Jahmyr Gibbs. All right, so do you have a prediction, Connor?
I usually predict based on how much I like their logos and how much I like their names. So, my predictions, I'd say, I don't think I have a winning record with my predictions, I'll be honest.
All right.
But if I had to say,
it's a big white G, and they're named the Packers. What do you think? Right there. That's where we're at.
Yeah, I like the Lions better.
All right, there we go. Lions have a cooler logo. It's good to know. Good to know we have criteria here. Then we have the Bears at the Lions on September 14th for Week 2.
Got to be a win.
Lions.
I don't know if we lose 2 in a row to start the season, so I will go Lions as well. I think we win at home, no problem. Awesome. So then we got a Week 2 in Detroit against the Chicago Bears, and former Lions offensive coordinator, now Chicago Bear head coach, Ben Johnson. How do we do? First meeting against Ben Johnson.
Yeah, I think that's fascinating, the chance that we get there that early. Obviously, he's going to still be somewhat in his infancy and getting what his program is in there installed. And, honestly, some of the news that I've heard out of camp has not been sounding that great right now for Chicago as they try to meet his standard. And, he's a perfectionist, and we could see that here. But who knows if Chicago's ready for that kind of thing. So Chicago is going to have some trouble. They're going to be choking on their brats.
You're saying the Bears are going to lose to the Lions.
Yeah, it's going to happen. It's too early. They're not ready for it. The Lions are a locomotive coming down the tracks, and that's so 2-0. We beat the Bears comfortably in Week 2.
All right, so assuming we do smack around the Packers and the Bears, as we've kind of been doing the last couple seasons. But Week 2, we go to on September 14th. We go back to Detroit to host the Chicago Bears, and what was it? Benedict Johnson.
Yes.
I heard somebody say that the other day. I thought it was funny. But former Detroit Lions offensive coordinator, now Chicago Bears head coach, Ben Johnson, first matchup in Week 2 on September 14th. How do the Lions do against the Chicago Bears?
Yeah, this one's going to be a pretty solid win. I see them winning that one by at least 2 touchdowns. I think Chicago's offense will really struggle against the Lions, but I do predict at least one trick play by the Bears that might even work, but Lions win.
All right, so I'm expecting a 5-sack game out of Tom Kennedy that week, so to really just level it down. All right, so you got us 2-0 so far to start the season, 2-0 in the NFC North. All right, so now Week 2, the Lions come back on September 14th. Back to Detroit to host the Chicago Bears. Chicago Bears
divisional
to start the season, absolutely.
The season. Wow.
And a little context there as well. Not only are the Chicago Bears in the NFC North, but they are now their head coach is former Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson. Tori, how do the Lions do in Week 2 against the Chicago Bears?
I still don't. I don't see the Lions losing to our division. So I'm going to say they win again.
All right, about you, Tyler?
After a Lions win, it's all downhill for the Bears.
Sounds good.
Yep.
Classic little, for their season, right?
Yes.
We can only hope. We can only hope. All right. So after that, 2 comfortable wins according to both your predictions. All right. Then Week 2, we're seeing for the first time ever former offensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions, now Chicago Bears head coach Benedict Johnson, and in Detroit on September 14th. Calvin, how do we do against the Bears?
Yeah, Adam Gase 2.0. He's going to be the next, if Adam Gase and Matt Patricia just combined into one coach, that's going to be Benedict Johnson. He's going to be another failure of a head coach for the Bears, and Caleb Williams is just going to be even worse this year.
Yep. So still no 4,000-yard passer for the Chicago Bears?
No, they're going to be lucky to even get 3,000 this year.
All
They're
right.
taking a step back. And also, too, looking at their draft, you had the best tight end in the draft available, Tyler Warren out of Penn State, and you go with the second best tight end, Colson Loveland, who's not on the same level as Warren, and you go with Loveland over Warren right off the bat in the draft.
And they already have a serviceable tight end.
And you already have, yeah. But Ben Johnson does like his 2 tight end sets, so I think that's when doing my mock draft, I did have the Bears taking Warren.
Yeah.
And people thought I was crazy for having the Bears take a tight end in the first round, but Ben Johnson loves his 2 tight end sets, and I'm like, well, you have Cole Kmet, but who else do you have? So now you bring in a rookie tight end who can grow on that offense. I mean, losing Keenan Allen is going to be a big piece on that offense, but I feel like that also gives guys like Rome Odunze a chance to shine this season.
Or Luther Burden.
Or Luther Burden.
Yep.
I've heard that he's had a lot of issues at practice, though, just with maturity and hustle, and that Ben Johnson's been getting on him a lot. So I don't know how that will correlate to the season, if anything. But we're taking another win. I mean, home opener, Lions Den. We're coming in ferocious this season. We have a sour taste in our mouth the last time we were in Ford Field, and we're gonna give it our all in the bleachers.
I don't know. With a name like Benedict Johnson, you don't think he's going to,
Well, his real name's Ben, but we just like to diss him.
Yeah,
Benedict Arnold. Not even his
he
name.
stayed in the division. He could have went to any team. He stayed in the division.
He's public enemy number 1.
But here we go. Chicago Bears. They are the Bears. They got a big, scary bear logo.
I actually do like that logo.
Their logo
Lions, watch out. Watch out for the Bears. This is my prediction. They got a cool logo, and I like their color scheme. Watch out.
But the Bears logo is way more fierce than their actual team is, though.
So it's all bark, no bite.
Yes.
Apparently. I did get injured. Falling piece of ice in Chicago last year did, in fact, draw blood on me. So should have sued them, missed the chance. Then we have a very tough fight in Week 3. September 22nd, Lions at Baltimore, the Ravens. Not reigning MVP. Should have been, in my eyes, the MVP last season. Lamar Jackson, one of those mobile quarterbacks Dad is not a fan of, but I'm personally a huge fan of, except for on September 22nd. Josh, how do you think the Lions do against the Ravens?
Sadly, I'm going to have to go with the Ravens just because of the mobility of Chase. Or Jackson, sorry.
Yep.
Lions, that's a revenge game for them.
Yep. As much as I'd like to say it, I mean, Lamar Jackson's always had the speed and the ability to break out, but if he passes even a fraction of how effectively he passed last season, I think the Lions could be in trouble. So I think it'll be a closer game than people expect, but I do expect the Ravens to pull out on top. We're going to a team that we haven't played in a couple of years, but man, the last time we saw them, they really put us through the ringer. Week 3 on September 22nd, we have a primetime game against the Baltimore Ravens, and who, in my mind, should have been last year's MVP, Lamar Jackson. How do the Lions do in Baltimore in Week 3?
Yeah, that's it is a tough team for us. A couple of years ago, like I said, we were feeling, I think, our oats that season and thinking, okay, how do we match up against them? And we came up extremely short. When it comes to roster building, one of the few teams out there that I think have built on par or maybe even a smidge better than the Lions, and we're at their crib. We've had a couple of tough tests in the NFC North at this point. I don't see this as being something too favorable for us. So Lions go 2-1 now. They're they've lost to Lamar Jackson again, unfortunately.
But now we're going to go to all the way to Baltimore, Maryland, where the Baltimore Ravens play. And 2 years ago, former MVP Lamar Jackson's team. How do we do against arguably the most mobile and dangerous quarterback in the league? And
Yeah, this one's a tough one because it's at Baltimore, and I think Baltimore is going to be a little more ready than maybe the Lions offense might be. But even with all that being said, I'm going to predict a win because I think the Lions, they kind of owe them one, and I think things will be starting to come together that week 3. And because last year I think that's when things started to come together for them was week 3. And yeah, I got to win.
All right, awesome. Now we have a pretty tough game on September 22nd in Week 3. We traveled out to Baltimore, Maryland to play Lamar Jackson and the Ravens.
Yeah, that one's gonna be
Lamar
tough,
Jackson,
I
mobile
think.
quarterback, great defense, some really dangerous threats out there on their offense. Tori, how do the Lions do against the Baltimore Ravens?
I want to be optimistic and say we're going to win. I do feel like we might lose this game, though. But I don't know.
All right. Tyler, how do we do against Baltimore?
I think they're going to win. They're going to force them on the run. A lot of on-the-run throws. Defense is going to come up clutch, and they're going to win.
Yeah, hopefully Hutchinson keeps Lamar running, hopefully right into the ground. But
Oh, yeah.
we'll see, Lamar really stepped it up last season. In my opinion, should have won the MVP. That's just me. All right, so a couple tough games there. All right, so in Week 3, we play against, my opinion, last year's should have been MVP, Lamar Jackson, in Baltimore. How do we do against the Ravens, Calvin, in Week 3?
I really hate to say it. I don't really I don't know how Kelvin Shepard will do against mobile quarterbacks, but if anything, I mean, our defense just struggles against that kind of mobility. I could see this being a tough loss. I hope it could be I think it'll be a lot closer than last time because last time was 38-6 at Baltimore, but I don't see us coming out of this game with a win just because we struggle against mobile quarterbacks, and I do overall think that the Ravens are one of the top teams in the NFL.
I think so, too, yeah.
And now that, last time we played them, they didn't have Derrick Henry.
That's true.
Now they have Derrick Henry this year, too.
Whole nother X factor. All right, you got a big purple bird. They're called the Ravens. What do you think? Lions versus Ravens. Cats do hunt birds. Fun fact. But what do you think, Connor?
I think you do have to take that into consideration. Cats do hunt birds. And not going to lie, the Ravens logo, it's not doing it for me. I think the Lions are going to pull through on this one. I think that despite the whole mobile quarterback issue, I think they're going to lock in. And I think if they know it's coming, right, they got some time to prepare still.
They do.
I think that, if they're not going to change up their game, the Lions are going to work around that. That's my prediction.
All right, sounds good. Then I'll be honest, I'll lead into this one. On Week 4, we do have, I would argue, a give-me game against the lowly Cleveland Browns. Some would say the AFC version of same old Lions here. Dad, Cleveland Lions or the Cleveland Browns at Detroit?
Well, I picked the Lions. I hope Hendon Hooker gets some good time there because we get a large lead.
Josh?
Lions for sure.
Yeah, I think the Lions smoke the Browns. Personally, I'm expecting, not to shoot myself in the foot, I'm expecting a repeat of what we did to Tennessee or Jacksonville last year. All right, let's pull us out of the our depression here. Let's talk about them Cleveland Browns. Some would say the AFC version of our same old Detroit Lions.
100%.
But yeah, let's see. How do they do Week 4 against the lowly Cleveland Browns?
Yeah, shout out Edmund Fitzgerald Trophy. Yeah, I think that this is that bounce back. The Lions in the last 3 years, they don't lose back-to-back games. They come out hungry after that Baltimore loss. And in Cleveland, just in disarray. We don't even know who the quarterback will be at that point.
It's true. Maybe the biggest quarterback room in the NFL as of Week 1 of the preseason.
Yeah. So we could be that may be the thing. We don't know exactly who to prepare for, but it doesn't matter. Just too good, ready for this game, comfortable win, and a 3-1. Looking at this after the you say the AFC version of the Lions, but haven't come anywhere near to as good as what we got right now.
True. All right, now we go back to Detroit on September 28th to host the Cleveland Browns. Some would say the AFC version of the Lions prior to the Dan Campbell era. How do we do against Cleveland and their like 7-man quarterback room?
Yeah, I would say this should be an easy win for the Lions. This could be one of those, 52-6 like we did against the Jaguars last year.
I think I said the same thing. So that's hopefully that is a sign of things to come. Then we go back to Detroit in Week 4 to play the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland Browns, not great last year.
No.
A couple good players on their team.
Yeah.
Also, the biggest quarterback room in the NFL. I think they have 7 quarterbacks on roster right now because they cannot.
Oh my gosh.
They cannot pick one. They're all either injured or they're just bad. But all right, Tori, how do we do against Cleveland?
We're winning that one.
Tyler,
I don't have anything else to say for that.
Tyler, winner or trap game?
I think they're going to win. I think those quarterbacks are going to forget how to snap the ball cleanly. I'm calling 2 defensive touchdowns.
Ooh, I like that.
Oh, defense. Who?
Defense wins
Do you know
championships.
who?
Nope.
The vision, the site doesn't go that far.
It doesn't go that far.
All right. So after that, I think you both have them going 4-0 so far. Hopefully, that's what we see to
Oh,
start
no.
the season.
I didn't have them going 4-0.
Oh, Ravens. That's right.
Yeah.
All right. I think I'm going to go with Connor for this next game because I think this might be one of the lamer logos in
The worst.
the
It's
NFL.
literally just a helmet.
Yep. So we have, after a tough game against the Baltimore Ravens, we come back home to Detroit in Week 4. We play the Cleveland Browns. For Connor's context, the Browns, not a great team last year, but their logo is quite literally just an orange football helmet. Now, does that make sense? An orange helmet? They're called the Browns? I don't know if that makes a lot of sense.
The contradiction is striking, and now I just can't unsee it. That is not brown. They should have made it brown. They call themselves the Browns.
Well, you did see they just unveiled a brown helmet with the sponsorship with Dude Wipes.
Nice.
So very fitting.
Huh.
There we go.
They've got money in their pockets.
Yeah.
I think they might funnel that towards, maybe some rebranding. Come on, guys.
And if you look closely, some people have also looked at the logo and think, that looks like a rabbit pushing a shopping cart.
All right.
I've seen some people on Twitter say it, and now it's like one of those
So
things you
Connor,
just
the
can't unsee.
the orange helmets or the blue lions? Who do you think's winning?
I'm scared of their boldness to have a orange helmet and call themselves the Browns.
Their former logo back in the day used to be like an elf. Yeah.
An elf.
Like a Keebler elf, dude. I'm not even kidding.
They did
I'm gonna
some
see if I-
big,
I'm gonna see if I
so
can
they
pull that
did
up real
some really big rebranding, and they purposely chose orange.
Well, their team colors, I believe, have always been orange and brown.
Has their
team
name always been the Browns?
Yeah, so it was named after one of their former head coaches, Paul Brown.
Ah, I see.
So they're not really going based off the color brown. They're going based off their former head coach.
I see.
Yep. So there you go. Like
He must have
literally
been-
a Keebler elf right there. That used to be their old logo.
Ooh, that's
It's
that logo is giving me some weird vibes. I'm glad they changed it. You know what? Take it back. If that's where they started.
potential improvement. But you thinking the Lions over the Browns? I would take it, Connor.
I'm going to go with the Browns on this one because they
Ooh.
scare me with their decision making. I think they're a little unhinged and
Unpredictable. Unpredictable.
Yeah,
oh, good thing games are won on the football field instead of the art room. So
Yeah.
Instead of an art class.
This is going to be one of those, like, take a look. You go back to last season against Tennessee or, like, Jacksonville. I could see this being one of those 30-point wins. I mean, the Browns right now have a question of who you're going to play at, or who you're going to start at quarterback.
The most populated quarterback room in the NFL at this moment.
Because what? They have Joe Flacco. They drafted 2 quarterbacks, Dylan Gabriel and
Gabriel.
Shedeur Sanders, who
somebody took him finally.
He had a solid game tonight. I don't know how they're going
Yeah.
to play it this season. I truly hope
Just
that,
picked up Tyler Huntley, very serviceable backup.
and then they also
All-pro a
have
couple
Kenny,
years
and
ago.
then they also have Kenny Pickett as well.
Yep.
So it's like, who do you go with, and who's going to be your cut candidate? So I'm thinking, for Shedeur's sake, I hope he gets out of Cleveland and goes to a team that actually can develop quarterbacks, because Cleveland has a long history of just failures at quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
For the sake of his career, you want to get out of Cleveland.
True.
And so I don't know, are you going to carry 3 or 4 quarterbacks into the season? Or who are you going to have as your emergency? Are you going to stick with 41-year-old Joe Flacco? Or are you going to go with Kenny Pickett, who kind of showed some potential in
Kenny
Pittsburgh.
Pickett in Cleveland right now?
Yeah, he's right now they're listed as their second-string quarterback.
Okay.
But, I mean, are you going to go with a rookie, or are you going to go with that 41-year-old vet, Joe Flacco, who's been around the league? Or are you going to go with Kenny Pickett, who –
Joe Flacco won a Super Bowl with the Ravens. But also, I do want to make a correction. I did say Tyler Huntley All-Pro. I meant Pro Bowl appearance.
Yeah.
Just want to say that out loud before someone calls me out on that. I did correct myself. All right, now we have a very interesting matchup. Two stars of Netflix's Season 2 of quarterback going against each other. The Lions at Cincinnati. Jared Goff versus Joey Burr. Josh.
Got to go Lions.
Lions.
All right, yeah, I agree. I think that'll be a shootout, but I do think the Lions, with a healthy defense and the Bengals having personally an atrocious defense, at least based off of last season, I just don't see them stopping the Lions, and I think the Lions get enough cause enough turnovers or enough third and outs to be able to pull that one out. And now we go to Cincinnati in Week 5. Season 2 quarterback on Netflix. Two stars, Joey Burr and Jared Goff, dueling off. How do we do in Cincinnati on October 5th?
Yeah, what a great show. Showcasing really both of those guys and the personality that they have and what they bring, and each of them, what they bring to their teams and giving them the confidence. So shout out to Joey Burr. Yeah, I think that this is another tough one. Cincinnati got all that offense matching up against those two towers on each side for the wide receivers, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. I think it's a shootout. I do think that this is going to be where the defense is going to get tested a little bit. And again, my faith goes in the Lions and being able to go on the road, take on a team like this, and when they know that the defense can't stop them, they're able to come up with that one extra play, win the game. They win a tight one in Cincinnati, 4-1.
Like that. All right, now we're going to travel all the way down to Cincinnati, Ohio, where two stars of Season 2 on Netflix's Quarterback by Omaha Productions, run by Peyton Manning, Joey Burrow and Jared Goff face off on October 5th. How did the Lions do against Joey Burr and the Bengals?
Jake, we're going 5-0 right here. I believe in Joe Burrow, and I believe in their offense. I just don't believe in their defense, and I believe in the Lions' defense being more potent against their offense than their defense against ours, especially if Hendrickson is not playing. That should be an easy – I shouldn't say an easy win, but it should be, they win by, let's say, 10.
Yeah, you think with arguably the two best offenses in football right there, or at least the most volatile offenses in football, you would assume that whatever team can play the slightly better defense should win that one, and the Lions seem to have a much more talented defense, when healthy, of course, than the Bengals. So I do agree with you there. All right, well, here's another tough game. So after that, Lions travel to Cincinnati, Ohio. Jared Goff faces off against his fellow co-star from Season 2 on Netflix's Quarterback, Joey Burrow.
That was a good season. Did you watch it?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Tori, how do the Lions do against Joey Burrow and the Bengals?
I don't know. To be honest, I didn't really watch them last year, so I'm not sure. I would like to think that, if anything, it's going to be maybe a close game with the Lions maybe pulling it out. But I don't know. Yep. I'm going to go Lions, but it's going to be a close game.
Last year, both teams in that game had two of the best offenses in football. And then the Bengals had one of the worst defenses. Like Joey Burrow is not losing them games. Jamar Chase led the whole league in
let's hope their defense is awful again this year, and then our offense is amazing. So,
How about you, Tyler?
And Hutch is going to be back. So
that's true. Hutchinson will be back.
Unfortunately, I have the Lions taking some notes and also taking an L.
Oh man.
Interesting. Yeah. So Joey Burrow having a good game against the Lions, I'm assuming. But all right, so now we're going to Hollywood here, not actual Hollywood, but rather two stars of Season 2 of Quarterback, Netflix's hit show following the lives of three different quarterbacks in the NFL. You have Joey Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals hosting our Detroit Lions and Jared Goff. Calvin, Detroit Lions versus Cincinnati Bengals, two of the most explosive offenses from last year. And two, honestly, pretty disappointing defenses, at least after injuries, for sure.
I could see this one being a shootout. I mean, it's going to be – take a look back at that Kansas City versus L.A. Rams game. It was at 2018. I believe it's going to be one of those types of games where, it's just going to be back and forth. I think it's going to be like one of those SEC-type games where there's just no defense whatsoever. I think it's going to be like one of those like 45-42 Lions victories. I could see us getting at least like one defensive stop, but I truly believe it's going to be one of those games where the last team to hold the ball is going to be your winner. And I do believe our defensive back room is much more revamped than last season. I mean, the addition of DJ Reed is going to be solid. Kirby, Joseph, and Brian Branch are only getting better. Terrion Arnold is going to be, entering year 2. Usually for rookie cornerbacks, that's going to be your toughest season. And so far he hasn't had any, severe injuries. Like if you look back at Jeff Okuda, he didn't turn out just because he kept getting injured and injured and injured. But Terrion is going to take that next leap this year. And I just believe if you can shut down Jamar Chase and just pressure Burrow, that's going to be your key to victory right there.
Yeah, make T. Higgins beat you.
Yeah.
So Connor, for the Bengals, they have a big old B, but if you look closely, they have tiger stripes, like they're Bengal tigers.
I see.
How are you feeling about that one? Two cat teams playing against each other, but only one cat shown in the logos.
Now, something that I do know about the Bengals, if I remember correctly, Calvin.
Yeah,
I know
where this is going.
Yeah, you see, the quarterback of the Bengals has a striking resemblance to my cousin Billy. And Billy, he has that dog in him. I got to go with the Bengals.
He's got that dog in him.
I don't care what their logo looks like. When I looked on the TV and saw my cousin playing in the Super Bowl, I was like, oh my goodness, Billy, you got this. You have got this. Unfortunately,
he didn't have it.
By the hand of God, it was I'm telling you, if it was Billy, if it was the real Billy, probably would have lost. But
Bengals did lose.
Yeah.
Bengals did lose in that Super Bowl. But, yeah, no problem. All right, so we got Lions and Bengals. Okay. Then we have the Lions at the Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes and those Chiefs have been, one step away from being a solidified dynasty over the last, 8 seasons. But, Dad, we'll start with you. Lions in Kansas City at Arrowhead. Taylor Swift in attendance.
I think they're getting older, and the Lions have had their way with them last couple times, I think. So I go Lions.
I think the whole Taylor Swift Kelsey thing, that'll be over with. If she does show up, she might be leaving at halftime just because he's a loser.
All right,
the Lions are going to win.
So I do think that the Lions pull out the win against the Chiefs. I think some of their vets are aging a little too far, and it doesn't seem like – I just don't think the Chiefs are going to be able to withstand the Lions this season, so I am going to go with the Lions against the Chiefs. Now let's go back to Arrowhead, where 2 seasons ago we took on the defending champion Kansas City Chiefs, and gave Patrick Mahomes his first ever loss in September in his career. I believe it was September, week 1. I don't remember. But, however, how do they do against the Chiefs?
Yeah,
Mahomes?
It's tough to tell. The NFL season keeps moving up and up and up. You never know if that game was played in July all of a sudden. But they do play the Chiefs well. You know that they want to have that challenge. You know that they're ready for it. I do think it's in Arrowhead. They've come off some tough games there. It's a season where they've just got a lot of tough teams in a row. The Chiefs pull something out, with that 12th man. I'm not talking about the Arrowhead crowd. I'm talking about those stripes that seem to like to give Patty Mahomes.
Hey, hold on now. We don't want to get fined now here.
Okay, I'm just saying that something weird happens here, and the Lions drop their second game of the year.
Sounds good. All right. Well, this doesn't sound good.
No,
I take that back.
It doesn't.
Unfortunately, yeah. But how about when we go and take on Patrick Mahomes and Taylor Swift in Chiefs Kingdom right afterwards? What do you think about that primetime game on October 12th?
Yeah, I mean, I want to say win as well, but I'm going to say loss just because I think Pat Mahomes is going to want a little payback. It is in Kansas City, and, I just, they can't win them all. So I'm going to put it down as a loss.
All right, yeah. It's always tough playing in Arrowhead, even though Lions did win there a couple seasons ago when everyone thought they couldn't do it. So, but yeah, no, it makes sense for that to be their first loss of the year, at least according to your records. Yeah. So here's another tough one. So we have a pretty tough start to the season, I would say. Mm-hmm. But the Lions travel to Kansas City to play against Patrick Mahomes and Taylor Swift.
We're winning. I'm so sick of these people. I'm sorry. But we're winning this game.
I think it's Brittany Mahomes we're sick of, but we're not talking too bad about people,
Yeah.
Family show. Tyler, how about you? How do we do against the Chiefs?
I wasn't very specific with the other ones, but I got Hutchinson picking Mahomes twice in the fourth quarter
Oh, heck yeah.
for a Lions win.
Did you hear that?
Twice in the fourth quarter. Hutchinson interception. Crazy. I would love to see it.
I want another, what's it called?
Big Six.
Yeah. No, when the Hutch did it a couple years ago, where it goes, like, hits into the back.
A safety.
Safety.
Yep.
Safety.
Was that
Yeah.
Packers?
Safety would be huge. Was
Or
it?
Bears?
I think it was the
Bears.
Packers.
Packers or Bears?
It was
Oh,
the Bears.
it was the Bears.
Yeah.
Tyler Brown was right.
That
Jake was wrong.
that one was cool. So let's do that again, Hutch. Let's do that again.
I like that. Now we got a tough game. We're playing against Taylor Swift and Patrick Mahomes at Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City against the Chiefs. Chiefs, pretty darn dominating team. One championship away, some would say, to a dynasty over the past 8 years. How do the Lions do in a rematch against the Chiefs? Season opener 2 seasons ago. Calvin, what do you think?
I mean, I believe we're a much better team, like much more put together team than we were back when we faced them in 2021. I mean, you got rid of all the garbage in your secondary, like C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Kindle Vildor.
Yeah.
I mean, who else do we even have start? I mean, Cam Sutton.
I don't like to think about those times, Calvin.
Those were traumatic. But anyways, we have a completely new secondary. Chiefs. I mean, who's going to be your wide receiver one going into the season? Is it Worthy? Or?
It depends if Rashee Rice is not suspended. It's going to depend. Rashee Rice is a pretty good receiver if he can just stay off the highway with his super car.
Yeah, I know. And, I mean, like, he has that speed to him, too, that makes him hard to defend. But I think that this is going to be one of those games where our revamped defense from the last time we played, you correct a couple of those mistakes. I think after a big win in Cincinnati that you're going to roll in with that momentum and take out the Chiefs. I do believe that this is going to be another one of those Jared Goff takes down Patrick Mahomes kind of games. You just also cannot let the officiating take control. You just have to build up that lead.
The 12th man for the Chiefs.
And you just have to build up that lead where the officiating just can't
affect it.
It can't affect the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
That logic seems sound.
Yeah. What about you? Any other thoughts? Their logo, if you care to still look at logos, is an arrowhead with KC in it. KC presumably stands for Kansas City.
I like the arrowhead design. I am a fan of things that aren't necessarily animals in the logo. I feel like it's kind of easy to make an animal your logo, but when you go out of your way to make something sort of unique like that, I kind of like it. So I'm going to root for the Chiefs on this one. Maybe not root. I'm just going to say that their logo is cooler. I still like the Lions, and I still want Michigan to be supreme in all sports. So I'm always going to be rooting for the Lions, but except when it's the Bengals, I got to root for my cousin Billy. But
Billy Burrow.
But yeah, Arrowhead, that kind of goes hard. I like that one.
All right, yeah. Also the name of their stadium, as I said at the little intro there. Now we have the Lions versus the Buccaneers, a revenge game for us as we lost to them in Week 2 last season. Josh.
Close game. Got to go with the Lions, but close game.
I picked the Lions.
I'm a big fan of Baker Mayfield. He is my guy. I think Cleveland treated him real dirty, especially when they helped him win a playoff game. But yeah, no, I do agree. I think the Lions do beat the Buccaneers. I think it will be a pretty close game. Baker's a gamer, but I do agree. I think the Lions do pull that one out. Well, let's move on to a little bit of a revenge game for the Lions. Obviously, had a really big win against them in the divisional round 2 seasons ago, but now the Lions host on October 20th. Woo. October 20th, they host the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Baker Mayfield, and whoever they have in their receiver room right now after all those injuries they had last season. How the Lions do against the Buccaneers, who we lost to in Week 2 last season?
Yeah, I got a lot of respect for the Buccaneers and the way that they play. The thing that I'm seeing right now is that the Buccaneers, they've done a great job of maintaining and keeping their core there, but their core is getting a little bit old. Yeah. They got Mike Evans is out there. He's very strong, great player, but he's reaching the end here. Godwin's coming off of the injury.
Yeah.
You got
the ankle exploded.
Yeah, you got Levante David, who's been awesome for years and years, but Father Time will catch everybody at some point. I think that it's another hard-fought battle. We got to find a way to run through and around Vita Vea, but we find a way to do it. We're winning that game.
Awesome. And so, yeah, then we go back to Detroit to host Tampa Bay, one of our 2 losses in the regular season last year on October 20th. How do we do against Tampa Bay?
Yeah, I don't think Tampa Bay is going to – I mean, they're going to be the same team as last year, really. And and you said it's in Detroit, right? So
Yep.
we're gonna say payback for Detroit there, and another win.
All right. So now we have the Lions going back home to host the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, led by one of my favorite players in the league, Baker Mayfield, but also one of the teams to hand the Lions one of their 2 losses last year in the regular season. We lost in Detroit in week 2. How do we do in the revenge game, Tori, against the Bucs?
I feel like we're back and forth with this team. I feel like we win, then we lose, we win, we lose, So I just feel like with the natural flow of things, we win because we lost our last game with them.
That's a good point. Tyler.
I think it's going to be a battle of the O-lines in favor of the Lions.
All right, I like that. So we have 2 wins against the Buccaneers, who handed us a loss last year. But yeah, so after we play a couple tough games on the road, we go back home to play against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, winners of the NFC South last year. Quarterback Baker Mayfield, good player I enjoy very much. But also the team that handed the Lions one of their only 2 losses in the regular season in week 2. Calvin, how do we do in a revenge game in Detroit?
I mean, if looking at the Buccaneers, they won the NFC South last year, but I mean, it is just one of the weakest divisions behind the AFC South. But last year we just had a couple crucial mistakes, like Goff interception, and just carry on with that very long pass interference early on in the game. I think that those mistakes will be corrected this year, and I think that we can get a Monday night dub in Ford Field, and especially carrying that momentum after beating the Bengals and after beating the Chiefs. I believe that we'll carry that momentum and steamroll the Buccaneers. And also, too, I know the crowd will be very into it as well, coming off those 2 big wins. But you also cannot get too overconfident after beating two of the top teams of the AFC.
All right. How about you, Connor? Whoops.
I saw their logo from here, and I got
Buccaneers,
say,
another name for pirates.
Yes.
Synonym.
I got to say, Calvin, you're completely ignoring the fact that they have the far superior logo. You can say what you want. When that is your flag.
Does that logo look familiar from any team we played in high school?
Oh, no.
Pewamo, Westphalia?
No. No.
Little flashbacks there.
No.
Just make it yellow and blue, and
Come on, Lions, you got to win. Come on.
No PW love in this on this channel here. Now we have a really interesting matchup. So Lions start the season with 2 NFC North opponents, and they played the 3rd of their NFC North opponents on November 2nd. They host the Minnesota Vikings. The Minnesota Vikings fighting with the Lions for that number 1 seed up into the very last week of the season. Ended the season 14-3 before getting bounced in the first round. Dad, how do you think Lions do on November 2nd hosting the Minnesota Vikings?
I don't think McCarthy got enough experience up to this point. They're going to say they miss Arnold.
All right.
So, Lions.
All right. So he's saying they're going to miss Sam Darnold, who played out of his mind last year.
Yeah.
No problem. And I'm going to go to our Michigan State alum there, the disdain for Jim Harbaugh and all things University of Michigan over there. Josh, how do you think we're going to do against former University of Michigan national champion quarterback J.J. McCarthy?
Going to have him running for his life. He's going to Hutch is going to sweep him under the rug.
I think the Vikings are a sneaky team. I think that the biggest question they have, they got a couple great coaches in Brian Flores on the defensive end, their head coach Kevin O'Connell, I believe last year's coach of the year, unfortunately. And then one of my favorite players in the league, Justin Jefferson, won me a number of fantasy football leagues over the last couple seasons. But I do think the Lions proved too much for J.J. McCarthy, and I do think the Lions go with the win there. So now we're going to go on November 2nd to our last of our NFC North teams to play the first time. We have the team that was competing with us all the way until week 17 last year, the Minnesota Vikings. Last year, Sam Darnold played out of his goddamn mind. I believe Kevin O'Connell won Coach of the Year this past season at the NFL Awards. I already did the raspberry earlier in the episode. But how did the Lions do against essentially a rookie quarterback, but a team that has improved their defense, improved their offensive line, and still has Jay Jettas, in my opinion, the best wide receiver in football? How do they do against the Minnesota Vikings in Detroit on November 2nd?
Yeah, another great roster put together, and Quasi Adolfo-Mensah, name drop there for you, has done a fantastic job. I do think that the big issue with Minnesota right now is that QB spot. I don't see him elevating this team even the way that Sam Darnold did last year. I just think it's too soon, too early for that. I think that there's going to be some struggles in Minnesota this year. I don't think you're going to see them doing 14-3s and things like that. So I have the Lions beating Minnesota, and sneak preview, I've got them sweeping Minnesota this year.
Ooh, little spoilers. And now, after Tampa Bay, we stay in Detroit to host the Minnesota Vikings, led by essentially rookie quarterback, former national defending champion, or not national defending, but national champion quarterback J.J. McCarthy, and the reigning NFL's head coach of the year. How do we do against the Vikings on November 2nd?
So this one's at home as well, so I'm going to say they win this one. I think Minnesota might take a small step back, being J.J. McCarthy's a new quarterback. But with that all being said, every time I think Minnesota is going to take a step back, they don't. And actually, I was looking at their schedule the other day, and kind of the opposite for the Minnesota Vikings. All their tough games, they're playing at home. All their weak games, they're playing away. And I believe they do have 9 home games to their 8 road games. Minnesota is going to be in the thick of things at the end of the year, I think, again, just like they were the last 2 or 3 or whatever it was. But in this case, they're at home, so I'm going to say Detroit wins.
All right. So we started the season with 2 NFC North opponents, and after the Buccaneers, we host the Minnesota Vikings. Minnesota Vikings
After a bye.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, bye. Look at that.
So we get some rest.
It doesn't say on the
Gotta mention
thing
that.
right there. Yeah. So coming off of a bye, that's a fantastic mention, Tyler. Wasn't prepared for that. But yeah, no, they host the Minnesota Vikings.
He did his research before coming
That's
on
fantastic. I like it.
I
more
did
research
not,
than
if
me.
you could tell.
It's all good. Hey, you got research and you got vibes. Either way, find that perfect combination.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So yeah, the Lions host the Minnesota Vikings. Minnesota Vikings have the current reigning NFL's Coach of the Year in Kevin O'Connell. They got a really great defensive coordinator in Brian Flores. They competed with the Lions up until week 17. Ended the season 14-3, but still got the 5 seed because the Lions wrapped up that 1 seed at 15-2. But essentially a rookie quarterback with J.J. McCarthy getting hurt in the last year's preseason. Tori, how do the Lions do against the Minnesota Vikings at home?
I still think we win all our divisional games, so I'm going to say a win. I do think it might be tough, though.
Yeah. How about you, Ty?
Calling a Lions win with the safety.
With the
safety.
Who gets the safety in this one, Ty?
Can't tell you.
Can't tell you. All right. Vision doesn't go that far.
Don't know.
All right. So after playing the Buccaneers and a pretty tough, pretty challenging set of games to start the season, we go into the bye week. All right. Bye week, normally we joke and say, bye week 1, 38, Lions nothing. But I think this week, they're going to get that bye week. They're going to get a good rest before they take on their third and final NFC opponent, at least for the first round of games. They stay in Detroit, and they host the Minnesota Vikings. Minnesota Vikings, competed with the Lions up into the very last week of last NFL season, both going into a game 14-3. No team has ever had that many combined wins going into a game. And winner of that game wins the NFC number 1 seed in that first round bye. The other one immediately demoted to the 5 seed, forced to play wild card weekend. But Vikings, they have a good defensive coordinator in Brian Flores, likes to blitz. They got last year's NFL great offensive mind, but unfortunately last year's NFL head coach of the year in Kevin O'Connell. But they also have essentially a rookie quarterback, former national champion J.J. McCarthy from the University of Michigan. Got injured last preseason after having a pretty nice-looking preseason, but captaining and starting quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings this year. Connor, so you have time to think about it. Just, the Vikings is a blonde Viking man. That's what they are. But as you're thinking about, comparing those logos, Calvin, how do we do against our first matchup against the Vikings in Detroit after the bye week?
This should be another, domination from us. You take a look at Minnesota last year. Yeah, they had Sam Darnold, who was leading the charge. But now you have if you want to technically call him a rookie, just since he's out all last season, J.J. McCarthy, he wasn't even that good of a college quarterback. He was good at handing the ball off, and he had, the offensive line of Michigan, very good wide receiving targets and good running back. So I think he was just very good in college because of the team around him. But I don't think he's the guy that's going to elevate this Vikings team. I'm taking another win. And, everyone talks about Brian Flores, blitzing all the time against Goff. But Goff is one of the best quarterbacks against the blitz in the NFL. And that blitz just does not seem to work against this Lions. Now, granted, we're also going to be missing, Frank Ragnow this year and Kevin Zeitler. But hopefully those pieces that we have in there, Graham Glasgow and then Tate Ratledge, hopefully those guys will be ready to go by then. This is going into November after their bye week. So I think Ratledge will be a solid offensive lineman by then, and I think that he will be able to handle that Vikings blitz.
All right, Connor, you've had some time to think about it. You've seen the logo. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking that this is all going to depend on where the stadium actually is. Do you guys know?
It is in Detroit.
Detroit.
Right next to Comerica Park.
Is it going to be a
Downtown.
warm day or a cold day?
It's
The Lions
gonna be
play in a
inside.
dome. They play in a dome.
Okay.
Weather does not
Connor,
affect
you've been
the
there
game.
before.
Yes, I have. Do you remember if it was warm or cold?
It was in December. It was December 19th when we steamrolled the NFC leading Arizona Cardinals. One of the best
So
teams in the
cold.
league at the time, and we steamrolled the Cardinals on December 19th of 2021 in Ford Field.
Vikings are known to be traveling the cold waters of the north. I believe that they will have the home field advantage, air quotes, because of the cold. So I'm
Inside of a dome where it's going to be warm?
Hey, okay, then you could have just said it was warm earlier. You said December and it was cold. Come on.
Cold outside, warm in the dome.
I wouldn't say it's warm, but it is a controlled climate.
I mean, it's
essentially
better than like
ideal.
20 degrees out
That
in,
is true.
that Michigan winter.
That's true, yeah.
Now
So
that I think about it, lions are in they like
Jungle.
it warm.
but they got fur.
They
Yeah,
do.
they got a heavy fur coat.
A lot to think about.
A lot to think about. Well, guess what? We can hold on to that that thought because we play them a second time later in the season. We'll give you some time to process that. Now we have maybe a game that I think all of us are looking forward to. Unfortunately, it is in Washington, but we are going back for a revenge game against the Washington Commanders, the team that bounced us out of the divisional round after we got our first round bye and locked up the 1 seed in the NFC North. Josh, I'm going to start with you. How did the Lions do against the Commanders?
Campbell's going to go in there, and he's going to walk out completely full of kneecaps. He's going to win this game.
I like the Commanders' coach. I think he resembles Campbell as much as any coach. So I really worry a little bit, but I pick the Lions.
So I am going to go against the grain. I do think it's going to be really interesting because second-year quarterbacks, especially quarterbacks that have such a stellar first season. I mean, Jaden Daniels was at times an MVP candidate as a rookie, just like how the previous season C.J. Stroud, quarterback for the Houston Texans, was at times an MVP candidate before setting some rookie records. But I do think the Commanders do pull it out. I think that I personally think Jaden Daniels is real. And I do think that it'll be a close game that's going to really fuel their fire when they meet again in the divisional round. Bring it back in. All right, so now the Lions are going to play against the team that probably gave us the biggest heartbreak last year, the Washington Commanders, lost in the divisional round, but we play them on November 9th in Washington. How the Lions do against Jaden Daniels in his second season.
Yeah, I feel like we're going to have some things figured out for Jaden Daniels. I think that we're going to be able to go in there, know exactly what went wrong that last time. Not quite as high as stakes in this game here. We're in Washington, but I feel like we're going to pull that one out.
And now I think after that Minnesota game, we're going to travel all the way to D.C. to probably the matchup every single person in this family is really looking forward to play against the Washington Commanders and NFL Rookie of the Year, Jaden Daniels. How do we do in a revenge match against the team that bounced us out of the divisional round this past season?
I'm going to say I think this team's a really good team. I also think they're the most overrated team in the NFL. They already have like some dissension with their receiver wanting to get traded. I don't think they're that good defensively. This is going to be a win for Detroit, and I'm going to predict a 2-touchdown win and no turnovers for the Detroit Lions.
I think we'd all love to see that, so let's hope that prediction comes true. All right, now I think a game we're all looking forward to. On November 9th, the Lions travel to Washington, D.C. to play against Jaden Daniels, last year's NFL Rookie of the Year, against the team that knocked us out of the divisional round after we locked up the 1 seed. Tori, how do the Lions do against the Washington Commanders in Washington?
because I feel like we did not play our best at the.
Missed a lot of pieces too.
We missed a lot of pieces. So with us being healthy and being the team that we can be, I do believe we can win this game.
All right, Tyler, how do we do against the Commanders?
Lions win. Hutchinson with 3 sacks.
3 sacks.
3
Again,
sacks.
I like it. Note to editor.
He
Josh,
needs to come to
Josh, we're gonna definitely need to.
Dad's crazy prediction.
I don't
thing.
know. Hutchinson 3 sacks in a game doesn't sound crazy to me.
No, I know, but I meant like he keeps just spitting out stuff that you're just like.
Hey, he had 4.5 sacks against the Arizona Cardinals.
Big year
last
for
Yeah.
Hutchinson.
Big year for Hutchinson.
Yeah.
All right, so after that Vikings game, we go on November 9th all the way to Washington, D.C. Not to go to a rally, not to go marching. Remember, this is a nonpartisan show, but rather to play against the team that kicked us out of the NFL playoffs, losing in the divisional round to the Washington Commanders and the reigning NFL Rookie of the Year, Jaden Daniels. Calvin, in this revenge game, probably a matchup we'll all have circled on our calendars, how do the Lions do against the Commanders on their home turf?
It's going to be another win. I mean, last year, if you take a look at it, they played a practice squad defense, and then the whole second half, Goff was pretty much concussed. If you saw that cheap shot that he took.
Yep.
And
Tuvu, I think, hit him, on that pick six.
And so I'm thinking, that led, he's probably concussed just based off the way that he took that hit. But I'm thinking that this year with, all of our defense back, I mean, barring if we, have injuries like this again this year, I'm thinking that if, our new offensive coordinator, John Morton, can run the football like Benedict Johnson refused to do against one of the worst rushing defenses in the NFL, I think that this is going to be one of those games where Gibbs and Montgomery are going to take over and they're going to lead us to victory.
Yeah, fun fact about the Commanders, the oldest starting, or the oldest on average starting lineup in football.
I mean, you basically just had to pull Von Miller out of the retirement home this offseason, so.
Yeah, Austin Eckler. I forget they had a linebacker. It wasn't Fred Warner. Who was it?
Bobby Wagner.
Bobby Wagner. Thank you.
Which, I mean, these guys are still solid, but they are old.
They're older than me.
Did you say
And I'm your
that
uncle.
Goff got a concussion during
Well,
that
it
game?
wasn't confirmed, but it basically looked like he was playing concussed.
Do you know who, if Goff got injured or something, who would be his sub at the current moment?
That is up in the air right now.
I'm scared for if that ever happens because both options have looked horrendous, and I'd almost be willing to bring in Carson Wentz in one of these preseason games.
I'm on board to say I want Carson Wentz.
I'd rather have Carson Wentz than Hendon Hooker.
Yeah.
I
Also,
think,
Carson Wentz played for the Commanders. Maybe a little game theory there. But yeah, so Connor, Washington is it's this white logo background shouldn't be there. It is a maroon W with white outline or yellow outline. What do you think? Got a picture of a line. You got a W.
I think it's got to be the most unoriginal thing I've ever seen. Just making it a letter. Come on. We can do better than that. Get creative. Make something that looks nice.
All right, fair enough. And, I don't want to spoil it, but there are a couple more of those teams on this as we ask you which team, unfortunately. All right, so after that.
I see you, New York Giants.
Yep, ooh, don't no spoilers now. All right, before we get to that Giants pick and the growing frustration from Connor to my left here, we do, after hopefully beating the Commanders in Washington. So now we go to arguably the toughest place in the NFL to play outside of Ford Field and Arrowhead Stadium. You're going to Lincoln Financial Field to face the reigning world champion Philadelphia Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles have a lot of great offensive weapons. They have maybe one of the best defenses in the modern era. Dad, how do the Lions fare in Philadelphia against our friend Zach and George's Philadelphia Eagles?
I think by the time they get to Philadelphia, they'll have so much confidence from all the winning that they're doing that the Eagles are going to have a hard time holding them down.
Tough call for me. Unfortunately, I have to go against the Lions in this one.
I agree. I do think that the Philadelphia Eagles are just too good of a team right now. They have not lost too many pieces. They've kept a lot of their key pieces in place, and they still maintain, unfortunately, I would say the top offensive line in the NFL. So I think the Lions' health is going to be a really big concern here. How healthy are we? I think a fully healthy Lions team midway through the season after adjusting to new coordinators, I think could really put up a fight. I think it's very possible the Lions win. I don't think it'll be a dominating or them being dominated, but I will be going with the Eagles on this pick. All right, and then we're going to jump right immediately into playing the defending world champion Philadelphia Eagles at Lincoln Financial in Philadelphia. How do the Lions do on November 16th against the Philadelphia Eagles?
Yeah, tough team. Go on the road. You just came off of Washington, who gave you a battle. Got the Lions taking the L here.
Yep. Now I think, Brad, that, hopefully off a high win against the Commanders, the team that bounces out. But then we got to immediately travel to Philadelphia to play the reigning world champion Philadelphia Eagles. How do we do against Jalen Hurts and co?
This is Sunday Night Football, and it is a game where, really Philadelphia is strong in almost every area there is, but so is the Detroit Lions. This is the game we all wanted to see last year. I'm going to say the Lions get them.
Alrighty.
And we win again.
Alrighty. All right, now here's a tough one. If some of these games weren't tough, this might be the toughest one on the schedule. The Lions, right after the Commanders, go right to Philadelphia to play the reigning Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. One of the best defenses we've seen in the modern era. Great offense with a lot of weapons, some good coaching. How do the Lions do against the last year's Super Bowl champions? Tori.
I unfortunately think we are going to lose this game, but I do feel confident that we can keep it close.
All right. Ty?
I'm feeling a win. I know Ben Johnson's not there, but I'm feeling a fourth quarter trick play.
Fourth quarter trick play to win the game, or just
it's
going
to be big. It's going to be big.
You'll have to wait and see.
I don't know if it's
All right. I hope all these predictions come true, because then, Tyler, we will burn you at the stake for being a witch. We travel, just down the road to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, to play the defending world champion Philadelphia Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles maybe had one of the most aggressive defenses we've seen in the modern era.
Yeah.
Have a team with loaded offensive weapons, and one of the few teams that I could entertain the conversation of having a better offensive line than last year's Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
In my opinion, probably the best offensive line in football right now, especially with all the losses and switching around we have to do with some of our kind of unproven pieces. But Calvin, how do we handle? Do the Lions handle the defending world champs, or?
And I feel like every year we just have one of those losses where you walk out of and it's like questioning whether you love football or not. I mean, I don't want to take it too extreme, but the Eagles are just a very dominant team, both offensive and defensively. I don't see us winning this game, but I also think that this is going to be one of those games. I don't think no football team will play a perfect 17 games. And I'm worried that this is going to be the game where, we're going to have multiple turnovers or, a lot of sacks or, something like that. So I don't want to be negative on this game. I'm rooting for the exact opposite, but I don't think that we'll have the answer for that defense or Saquon Barkley or that, or their offensive line.
All right, what do you think? Lions versus Eagles, another cat against a bird. What do you think of here, Connor?
Yeah, the difference this time is that the Eagles actually unleash the eagle onto the stadium, if I remember right. Don't they let one fly around? Or is that another team?
I believe they do. A couple teams do that.
I would love it if the Lions followed their example.
You might be thinking of Auburn, though. I know Auburn does it. They have because they're they have War Eagle Go or whatever their chant is. I don't watch SEC football. I'm all about the Maction, baby.
Yeah,
all about
Maction.
the Maction.
You got to do a Maction podcast next.
I think the Lions got it if they bring a lion out onto the field.
Dan Campbell has stated he wants a live lion.
He does?
Yeah, but
he's got to get that through. That would be so awesome. I would watch that.
I think there's a lot of
what
safety
if it
concerns.
Ate someone?
Most lions are endangered species too, so you got to be careful of that and how you play around with that.
See, I was thinking, it's kind of one of those things 100 dudes. Was it 100 or 1,000 dudes versus one gorilla?
Yeah, 100.
Okay, 100. I'd almost put Aaron Rodgers as my first pick because you do need some bait.
Yeah.
And so it's just one of those kind of things. If you put a lion on the sideline, it's who would you send to him first?
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers.
Well, Dan Campbell's the closest thing we have to a live lion on the sideline. Let's be honest here. Now let's brighten the mood a little bit. We're going to play against one of the worst teams in the NFL. Name drop, my friend Luna, my roommate Luna, one of my best friends in the whole world. He is unfortunately a New York Giants fan. So how do the Lions do against the G-Men in Detroit? Josh?
I think we're going to be relaxing in the third quarter again.
I think in this case, the Lions will be sluggish and may even play down to the Giants. Ends up being a tougher game, but I pick Lions.
Okay, I thought Dad was going to go with the trap game this time. I know that I predicted the Cardinals to be a trap game last year, and we did come out on top. I do think the Lions do smack the Giants around. I do think them losing 2 games in a row is going to be very tough to do, at least up until the playoffs. And I do think going from the world champions Eagles to a bottom 3 team in the league in the Giants, I think lets the Lions really have their way with them. All right, now we're we're going to once again get out of that depression. We're talking about the G-Men from New York, the New York Giants, being hosted by our Detroit Lions. How do you think the Lions do against the G-Men? Malik Neighbors is a monster.
He is, but he's one of the few. They're few and far between over there. Third NFC East team in a row. By far the easiest to play here. We get back on a winning track. Like I said, we don't lose back-to-back games.
All right. So now we go back to Detroit to host the New York Giants. How do we do against the Giants, Brad?
Yeah, the Giants, they might not want to come to Detroit. So if they show up, the Lions will beat them. If they don't show up, then
they win by forfeit.
The Lions would, yeah. So it's going to be one of those 2 situations, I think.
Yeah. Man, they all got mono just somehow, huh? Crazy. All right. So after a couple road tough games, we go back to Detroit to host my friend Luna's lowly, unfortunate, really bad New York Giants.
Yeah.
How do we do against the New York Giants?
Yeah, I think we're winning that one.
Yeah. Pretty safe call, I would say.
Yeah.
Potential trap game implications, but Tyler, how do we do against the Giants?
A lot of interceptions for the Lions defense.
All right, who's throwing them? Jameis Winston or Russell Wilson?
Ooh.
Oh, Russell Wilson's with them now?
He's their starter at the moment. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I did not know who their quarterback was, so we'll see. Probably both of them.
All right, I like that. All right, I like it a lot. All right. Now play the Eagles. Play a couple tough games. You play the back-to-back the teams that played in the NFC Championship game over the Lions. But then we play a team quite on the opposite end of that spectrum. We go back to Detroit to host the New York Giants. New York game I will be going to. One of my good friends from college is from New York. Went to school in the city. He is unfortunately a New York Giants fan. Calvin, poor thing. How do we do against the G-Men?
This is going to be one of those games you see Hendon Hooker start the 4th quarter in, or whoever our backup quarterback is, whether it's Hooker, Allen, or if you bring in, another guy. It's going to be one of those games where it's like people are going to start leaving early in the 4th quarter just because it's going to be like the 2024 Jaguars game where you just absolute domination from the beginning. I'm really hoping, we could see Jameis Winston play in that game because
Jameis.
That would just make the game even more entertaining after we put up 40 points on him.
Yeah, I believe he got LASIK, so I think he can actually see now. I could be wrong. All right, so you kind of alluded to it already, Connor, but you see that big red, blue, and white N and Y for New York. What do you think about that for this matchup?
Yeah, I'm going to skip over the New York part and just go to the Giants. They're just giant idiots for this. Come on. More letters. Come on. It's so simple. Just make something that looks nice. It's not that hard. It's like you could do anything. You could do just about anything. Just don't make it letters. Come on. Anything but that.
Can't wait to have Connor on for
I
the
see.
episode.
I see the next one.
Now we're going to go back, and we're playing our first rematch in the NFC North, playing at home against the Packers. Dad, how the Lions do in their second meeting against the Packers? I believe you had them winning the first game.
And they're going to crush them the second.
This is Thanksgiving.
This is a Thanksgiving game, yeah. We'll be in attendance. We'll be seeing turkey hats.
Yep.
Hopefully we don't see the old uniforms because I personally think that they're outdated, way too outdated at this point, and I want to see our new fancy uniforms. So I do agree with you. I don't think you said your prediction, but I know you're picking the Lions. Yeah. I do think the Lions do not lose to all NFC North opponents. Right, now the Lions go on a short week back to Ford Field, or they stay at Ford Field on a short week as they host the Green Bay Packers on Thanksgiving. Gobble, gobble. What do you think?
Yeah, bad feelings from when we played the Packers a few years ago, and I thought for sure we had a win on Thanksgiving. We make sure to take care of business this year. We got that turkey tasting real good.
Yep, 2 Thanksgiving wins in a row. Let's hope for it. So now, after hopefully smoking the Giants and ruining my friend Luna's day, we are staying in Detroit for the Thanksgiving game on November 27th against Green Bay. How do we do on Thanksgiving against Green Bay?
Yeah, we're
in
going
our
to get
second
the
matchup?
Packers again. I think the Packers are another team I think is a little bit overrated. I still don't think they have that great of a receiving core. I think it's very average. I think Jordan Love is an average quarterback, but they do have a hell of a defensive line. They did lose Alexander as well. I just don't see them being a top-tier team. They're more like a second-tier or maybe even third-tier team.
Yeah, so
We'll just say
fighting for a wild
second-tier.
card spot. Hoping to do good
Yeah,
enough to
and
find them. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Lions are just too good for them, especially Thanksgiving at home. Dan Campbell won his first Thanksgiving game last year. He doesn't want to go back in the losers column on Thanksgiving. So, yeah, we're going to get him.
All righty, awesome. Thanks, Brad. Now we stay in Detroit on a short week Thanksgiving game against the Green Bay Packers. We open the season with them. I think you both had a win against the Packers. How do we do at home on Thanksgiving, a game that we have lost more often than not
Yeah,
the
and I
last 10
think
years?
we just need to balance everything out and win again because we've lost too much on Thanksgiving. So now we need to balance it the other way, and we're winning.
I like that. Ty?
5 touchdown passes for Goff.
I like it.
Yep, dominance.
Any for Hendon Hooker?
No.
No. Okay. Sounds good. Yeah. Well, guess what,
Again.
Connor? We're going back to. We're staying in Detroit, but we're bringing back an old enemy of ours. We're started the season off against the Green Bay Packers. Potentially playing on Thanksgiving at 1 p.m. I don't know why they bumped it back. I don't know about that. But they bumped it back. Playing the Green Bay Packers on Thanksgiving. I think most people in Michigan are watching that game. Most people across the country are watching that game. Potential playoff implications online. Calvin, what do you think about the Packers and at Lions on Thanksgiving?
Turkey's not the only thing getting cooked that day. Lions by 14.5.
All right. Good job, Calvin. You made your dad laugh over there. I think he's about to drop some tears here soon. All right, Connor, I think you didn't like that G logo. Has it grown on you since we last talked about it 20 minutes ago?
No, I think they should just pack their bags.
Ooh,
Calvin's right. Calvin, you're always right, except for when you're wrong. And this time, you are not wrong.
All right. That's love between two best friends right there. Now we're playing against the Dallas Cowboys. I think that Taylor Decker called off touchdown, eligible tackle touchdown, will stay in our minds for many, many years. Just like how the refusal to call a pass interference against Brandon Pettigrew in the playoffs back in those Matt Stafford years, I think will always have chemically altered my brain. And but yeah, let's go ahead with you, Josh. How do you think we do against the Dallas Cowboys?
We win. We're on top.
We crush them partially because Cooper Rush doesn't play for him anymore.
All right, so Cooper Rush, Lansing area alum, a high school Ravel of mine, even though he doesn't know who I am, but that's okay. Almost sacked him once, no big deal. But yeah, no, I agree. I think we smoked the Cowboys again. I think what was one of the most dominating wins we saw, despite the fact that I don't think we could really celebrate that 40-point win with the Hutchinson injury. But I do think we do beat up on the Cowboys. Let's hope we see it. And now we play, once again, third home game in a row. Right after Thanksgiving on December 4th, we play the Dallas Cowboys. Obviously, a couple of things from the last couple seasons. We have that Taylor Decker eligible tackle called back controversy, which I think will all stay in our minds forever, as well as a dominating win last season, but at the cost of Aiden Hutchinson snapping his leg in 3 different places on clearly the trajectory to win Defensive Player of the Year. So really bittersweet victory last season. How do you think the Lions do this season around on December 4th?
Yeah, we're rolling at this point. Like you said, third home game in a row. If things are feeling good, we've got full rest, even though we're coming in on a Thursday night against that because we did do the Thanksgiving game. We're giving Jari lots of problems over there. Another win for the Lions.
All right, awesome. So now we are going to stay in Detroit on December 4th, and we're going to play the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys, 2 memorable games in the past couple of years. Obviously, a couple years ago, we have that controversial call of Taylor Decker, calling back Taylor Decker's ineligible tackle touchdown reception, as well as the absolute thrashing we did to them last season, but at the cost of Aiden Hutchinson's leg snapping in multiple places, putting him off, when he was on putting him out for the season when he was on trajectory to easily win Defensive Player of the Year. So how do we do in a rematch against the Cowboys? We're currently 2-0 in the last two matchups. Or sorry, 1-1. Sorry.
Yeah, the Cowboys aren't ready for the Lions. This is at Ford Field finally instead of in Dallas. So it is, I shouldn't say it's a short week because it's Thursday to Thursday. But, I see the Lions, winning that one pretty easily.
Yeah. All right. So now we another potential fun game here. Right after the Packers game, we host the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys, a couple big games in the last couple years.
Yeah.
2 years ago, I believe we had Taylor Decker had a game-winning touchdown called back after an eligible tackle play.
That was such a cool play, unfortunately. That
a lot of
got called
controversy
back.
with that call. And then last year, we absolutely dominated the Cowboys and Jerry's World in Dallas, but at the cost of Aiden Hutchinson's leg.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen this time around, Tor?
We're winning again, and nothing's happening negatively. It's going to be all positive. Everything.
I like that. Tyler, how do we do?
I got him losing this game.
Losing against the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Interesting call.
No. Why?
What's his, is it Micah Parsons?
Micah Parsons, he's currently
Who
in
just-
contract talks.
I was going to
Potentially
say,
might-
didn't he request to
He
leave?
did request a trade, Tyler. I don't know if that
Oh.
changes.
Okay. Well, if he plays, he's gonna have a big game.
Okay.
But then I might have to recalculate. But I think they're gonna get humbled here, and but they're gonna regroup.
Yeah, a little fun fact about the Cowboys. So they play in the NFC East with the Commanders, the Giants, and the Eagles. In the past, I believe 12 seasons. I may have to fact check that. But this is the thing. No team has won the NFC East 2 years in a row
Really?
in the last 10, 12 seasons.
That's crazy.
not longer.
So who? The Eagles won.
The Eagles won
year?
last year because they were the 2 seed, 14-3.
Wow.
All righty. So after that short week game, on December 4th, the Lions, for once in however many seasons,
Since
host
2019.
we host the Dallas Cowboys in Detroit. The Dallas Cowboys at risk of losing a generational pass rusher in Micah Parsons. The Dallas Cowboys willing to let CeeDee Lamb, one of the best receivers in football, hold out for a long time. The Dallas Cowboys allegedly interfering with the game, calling back the Taylor Decker eligible tackle pass. As an offensive lineman myself, pretty offended by that. Last year,
Yeah, me too.
Lions smoked the Cowboys at the cost of Aiden Hutchinson's season, his leg snapping in multiple places. Calvin, how do we do against Jerry Jones's favorite group of misfits?
Well, it's not a logo, it's a rating, and it's going to be a Hutch revenge game. We're going to put the hurt on the Cowboys. No pun intended.
All right, so Connor, going to you. We have the Dallas Cowboys. Their logo is a star. It's an iconic logo. Their owner, Jerry, and GM Jerry Jones, thinks that just wanting that star on your helmet should mean that you don't want to get paid as much. But do you think that the Lions should abide by that? Do you think that they are also intimidated and respect this logo? Or do you think they're going to repeat what happened last year?
I think that it is. I can't let the missed opportunity of you could have had a big iron as your logo. You're called the Cowboys. You could have had this nice looking revolver as your logo. You missed it. This is worse than the New York Giants. These guys. It's worse because it could have been great. It could have been. It really could have. And now, well, I don't think they're going anywhere anytime soon.
All right, sounds good. I think a lot of people are not a big fan of the formerly America's favorite team, and America's team. It does not sound like Connor is either. Now let's go to Los Angeles. A lot of people think Los Angeles might be the sneaky best team in the NFC. Former franchise quarterback for the Detroit Lions, as of right now, as of this moment, still playing as the starting quarterback for the Los Angeles Rams, and Matt Stafford. Up until recently, probably my favorite quarterback of all time, being the homer I am. But Josh, how do you think we do in Los Angeles at SoFi Stadium?
I think we win again.
I got Lions for the win. The L.A. Rams are somewhat like the Kansas City Chiefs because some of their special players are getting older.
All right, yeah. So I'm going to disagree with you a little bit there, Dad. I think that they sold the farm in order to win a Super Bowl in that Matt Stafford trade, which gave us, the first year of Dan Campbell. It gave us Jared Goff. It gave us, Brad Holmes. But I do think that the Rams have done a great job adding to their defense. They've drafted many players to make up for maybe the best defensive player in all-time defensive tackle, Aaron Donald retiring. But I do think the Rams do pull it out. I think it'll be a shootout. The Lions have had the Rams number for the last couple of years, and I do think the Rams finally get their comeuppance with that really young, And now we're going to go to the Los Angeles Rams being captained and quarterbacked by former Detroit Lions franchise quarterback Matthew Stafford. How the Lions do at SoFi in Los Angeles against the Rams?
Yeah,
young defense.
Yeah, and a strong defensive line, very talented, and it's been a battle the last few times that we've played Los Angeles. We've been able to pull it out. I feel like it's going to go the other way. I think Matt's going to get one, and he's going to you're going to see him celebrate that win on SoFi Field. So, yeah, Lions dropped that one.
A lot of people have the Rams as a sneaky best team in the NFC going into this season. So I think that's a matchup that's going to really intrigue everybody as we get down to those dog days in December. And then we have a really interesting matchup, Brad. We've seen this team quite a bit in the last couple seasons, in the playoffs, in the regular season, immediately after the big trade, but we go all the way to SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles to play the Rams and former Detroit Lions franchise quarterback Matthew Stafford. How do we do on December 14th in LA against the Rams?
Yeah, so Stafford's suffered a couple of tight losses against Detroit. This is in LA, and I think the Rams are the most underrated team in the league. Now, let's assume for a moment that Matthew Stafford is going to be back healthy playing. This is a meaningful game, meaning he didn't miss 5-6 games at the start of the season, and now they're resting him or whatever like that. But assuming they have a healthy team, I'm gonna say this is another one the Lions are gonna fall because Stafford's gonna get them back. So second loss for Detroit.
Yeah, the Lions have kind of had the Rams over the last couple of years, especially in bigger games. But
all of them close.
All of them close, and at some point, you can't win them all, right? Hopefully, we do, and obviously, our father Steve does think the Lions will win them all, which is good for him. All right, so now after that, after a win or a loss, depending on apparently if Micah Parsons plays, the Lions travel to Los Angeles, SoFi Stadium, to take on what many analysts consider to be the sneaky best team in the NFC, the Los Angeles Rams. Los Angeles Rams, a young, hungry defense being captained, health willing, former franchise quarterback for the Lions, Matthew Stafford. Lions have won the last couple games against the Rams. It's some pretty big games. Week 1 last season, playoff wild card round in the previous season. But how do we do in week that's 18, 17, 16, 15 against the Rams in Los Angeles, Tor?
So I kind of been saying the balance thing. So I do think because we've won the last couple of years against specifically Stafford and the Rams, I do feel like we may lose this one.
Rams will be a tough opponent. Tyler, what do you think?
38-14 Lions.
I like it. I like it.
Specifics.
Oh, man. I hope so, man. The Rams are going to be a pretty scary team. So now, Connor, we have a really interesting logo for you to simmer on while we talk to Calvin. But the Lions, after hopefully smacking the Cowboys around, they go to Los Angeles to SoFi Stadium to play former Detroit Lion franchise quarterback Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford traded to the Rams, winning a Super Bowl there, but in return, first year of Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes, we get Jared Goff, we get a ton of draft picks that most of them were used on pretty impactful players on this team. But Calvin, the Rams, a lot of analysts have them as sneaky, potentially the best team in the NFC. Lost Aaron Donald, maybe the greatest defensive player in football history, but took a couple draft picks, but, man, they have a hungry defense. They got some talented offensive players, picked up Devontae Adams in the offseason. And just for you, Connor, to set on, it is an L and an A for Los Angeles, but if you look, that yellow thing is the Ram horn behind it. So a little creativity to this one. Not just the letters, but there is a little extra. My friend, my nephew, Calvin, how do you think we do against the Rams and Matthew Stafford?
If we take a look at the last two matches, the wild card game and the last year's season opener, you almost have to play the Rams mistake-free because those games have just been so close. I mean, you can afford to have maybe one mistake, but you have to play almost those last two games, like, very close. You have to be close to mistake-free as possible against the Rams. I mean, they have a solid defense, and then you have Matthew Stafford, who is still a top quarterback in this league. Now, will he be healthy for this season? I mean, he's been having a lot of back issues. Someone who's had a back injury before, that takes time to heal, and you're not going to be fully 100%. I mean, obviously, they have $1 million doctors that are going to give him whatever he needs to heal. But I think that's going to be one of those games where the Lions, I think it could go either way. One of those games where will be decided on a field goal. I must say Lions, but it easily could be going the other way too.
Yep, we'll see.
I got to disagree. They're not coming back from that logo. I got to say this straight up. It looks like those corporate art style kind of logos. I can see it from here. I can't tell what it is, and I've been able to at least discern what most of these are. That one in particular, I got to squint a bit, and I have some good eyesight. It's not perfect, but I don't see the horn. Maybe if I get really close, you know what? That looks like a banana, if anything.
I mean, isn't a ram's horn really just a banana?
A yellow banana, like an unpeeled
if
banana.
If it were edible,
most
perhaps.
Bananas are yellow, but they can be green or brown. So you got a good point there.
Yeah, Rams. They ain't beating the Lions.
They ain't beating the Lions, man. Look at that Lions logo, propelling them to looks like a playoff berth from Connor's perspective. Hungry defense, but now we're going to play against one of the most storied franchises in all time after the Rams. We're playing against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think every Detroit Lions favorite person to hate, Aaron Big Loser Rodgers, Crybaby Rodgers, son to Sir Superman Kirby Joseph.
Didn't he change his last name to Joseph?
I think so, yeah, because, Kirby Joseph adopted him, maybe against his will, but he did adopt him, is now his son. But yeah, so how did the Lions do in Detroit against the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Got to go with another win.
We win. There's going to be a lot of dissension that Aaron Rodgers is going to cause with that team.
I agree. I think Aaron Rodgers is at this point just too much controversy. I think he's going to – Mike Tomlin, he will go down as one of the greatest coaches in NFL history. Obviously, he's not really had playoff success recently, but, I mean, the guy's never had a losing record. That's not something to shake at. But I do think that this year could be the first time they have a losing record, and I don't think they win against the Lions, so I do have the Lions there. All right, so now we go to December 21st. The Lions host the Pittsburgh Steelers, and everybody's favorite person to hate, Aaron Rodgers. How do you think the Lions do against, as we all presume to be a very dysfunctional Pittsburgh Steelers?
Yeah, I think this is a win. I think you see Jay Kerb come up with another couple against his son. Yep, he sons him again, and we pull out of that one with a pretty easy victory there.
All right, so after that, we go back to Detroit to host the Pittsburgh Steelers with the son of Kirby Joseph quarterbacking that team. Every Detroit Lions fan favorite person to hate, Aaron Rodgers. How are they going to do against a presumably dysfunctional Pittsburgh Steelers team?
Yeah, I think the Steelers are going to finally find themselves in a losing season. I don't see Aaron Rodgers being that savior. I think there's already talk about how the offense isn't really Aaron Rodgers' offense, and Aaron Rodgers got too big of an ego. This is going to be a pretty easy win for Detroit.
All right. So after that, we play on December 21st. We play against Kirby Joseph's oldest son, Aaron Rodgers, every Detroit Lions fan favorite person to hate, besides Matt Patricia, But in Detroit, how do we do against a presumably dysfunctional Steelers team?
Yeah, I have them winning this one. I don't really see us losing.
All right, Tyler.
Hutchinson's going to have another big game.
Yep. You think Hutchinson retires Aaron Rodgers? You think Kirby Joseph gets more picks on his son?
Ooh.
Oh, that would be
Picking
cool.
him up from school, someone would say, No?
I don't know.
All right. So after the Rams, we go back to Detroit to host Kirby Joseph's oldest son, Aaron Rodgers. I think most Detroit Lions fans' favorite person to hate outside of Matt Patricia.
I cannot wait to see Hutchinson take. Hutchinson's going to have a career night this night. And I believe that this is going to be one of those games going into where the Lions are going to win the NFC North this day. And so I'm seeing this game being pushed back from 4:25 to that primetime slot. I think that's when they can start doing that. At like around, was that week 8? No, week 16. So I believe that
would be week 16.
Yes. So I believe league rules that they can start flexing that game, and I believe that's going to be a Sunday night NFC North championship right there.
All right. How about you? Another iconic logo.
I don't see how that's iconic.
It has been the logo for many, many, many years.
That is a mistake. I'll just say that up front.
Even though it says Steelers right there.
It's
got two colors. It's got a blue and a red star.
Oh my god.
They don't even wear red or blue.
Fine print Steelers on there. More letters. They fit it into the logo this time.
And that goes on a hat, that goes on T-shirts, you know.
Oh, imagine the stitching on that. Imagine having to machine that. I'm not a tailor, but that sounds like a pain. You got to get the fine print on the logo. Yeah, I don't like the color scheme. It's a little too simple. It's bland. The only reason I can see this thing being iconic is because they didn't have the heart to change it. They could have done something better.
Yep. One would say tradition. One of the only teams to win 5+ Super Bowls.
They win with that logo?
They used to.
They used to win.
They are very good at going 9-8. No more, nothing less.
Their current head coach has never had a losing season.
Really? Did he transfer in?
No, he's been there for a long time. I have a coworker who's in his late 50s, early 60s. In his entire lifetime, the Steelers have had 3 NFL head coaches. Really interesting stat. They're very, very much a tradition-led team. Now we have our penultimate game of the regular season, Christmas Day, 4:30 p.m. on Christmas Day. What an interesting game to have. You know, it kind of throws off some traditions we have. It is in Minnesota. I think it's going to sideline some of my mom Judy's plans for that Christmas Day, some of those games that we have planned. But yeah, so Lions in Minnesota, penultimate game. How do you think the Lions do against the Minnesota Vikings?
We still own their field.
I say Lions. McCarthy won't solve all their problems.
All right, yeah. So I'm going to go with the Lions again. I do think the Vikings, they've shored up their defense quite a bit. They've improved their offensive line, but I do think that rookie QB play is going to be a lot. And if the Lions are healthy, by the end of the season, they're getting ready for the playoffs. They should have a playoff record, and I think that they will win. All right, and now we're going to end this portion by talking about our last 2 games. The penultimate game, once again, another short week, playing on Christmas Day. I think throwing off a lot of our kind of traditions, and really everyone's kind of rescheduling their Christmas a little differently here. But we have the Lions playing at Minnesota on Christmas Day at 4:30 p.m. Prime time is on Christmas Day. How do you think does Santa bring the Lions a victory on Christmas Day?
Well, he is kind of considered to be somewhat of a Norseman, on that day. You got the Skol chant going. Everybody's pulling around. I do think that is a Lions loss there. I do think they lose to the Vikings at that point. You got J.J. McCarthy, a little more seasoned. Defense is ready to roll. Close one. It's kind of a coin flip. I'm going to just put it as an L for now.
Yeah. I've done a bad job, admittedly, being a horrible host here and keeping track of your schedule or your record predictions. However, I believe you've had them winning enough games to at least lock in a playoff spot, or presumably a playoff spot. And we do wrap up the season here with the last 2 weeks of the season, both against NFC North opponents. Our penultimate game is on Christmas Day, obviously kind of rearranging everybody's Christmas schedules. I know my mom Judy's plans probably changed quite a bit with this game, but it's in Minnesota against the Vikings. How did the Lions do on Christmas Day? Does Santa Claus bring them a W? Or do they put coal in their stockings?
I just don't think I think with J.J. McCarthy and all that. I mean, again, I think the Vikings are going to be in the thick of things, but I think the Lions are going to be 14 wins in a row in the NFC North this year. So you can chalk the next 2 as up for wins.
All right, so the Lions' penultimate game, second to last game of the season, they go to Minnesota to take on the Vikings for their second matchup of the season. Obviously, NFC North team, a team that competed with them to the last week of the season last year. I believe you both had them winning that game. How do we do in a rematch in Week 17 against the Vikings, second to last game of the season?
Again, I still think we win all of our divisional games. So I'm going to go with a win on this one.
How about you, Ty?
I got another L for the Lions.
L for the Lions at the end of the season.
Yep, the Grinch steals Christmas.
The Grinch.
Yep.
That's a good point. Yeah, it is on Christmas Day, a game that I think is going to offset a lot of plans that day.
Yeah, I'm a little annoyed that we have Thanksgiving and Christmas, but that's okay, I guess.
Yeah, it's not in Ford Field though, so we don't have to give up Christmas Day as a
I
whole,
know, but
which
I think
is-
it's disappointing that they're putting a game on the holiday when it's already on Thanksgiving. You know.
Think about all 104 of those players on the team and all that coaching stuff not being able to spend Christmas Day with
I know
their
that's
family.
that's so sad to me. I don't know.
Crazy.
I just feel like we don't need to have that holiday be taken over by football.
All right, so on another short week in our penultimate game, the Lions go to Minnesota on Christmas Day, sidelining, I'm sure, many people's Christmas plans. Grandma Judy, I think that those little games we do at, Grandma and Grandpa's house, I think probably won't happen, if a potential watch party here or something else going on. But Calvin, how do we do in our second matchup against the Vikings? Does J.J. McCarthy figure it out? Does he adopt to O'Connell's system? Are the Lions, do they think of sitting players if they've potentially won as many games as you've said they win? How do we do on Christmas Day? Santa bring us the dub, or does the Grinch steal Christmas?
I'm thinking the Vikings are getting cold this day. They're getting a coal and a big L. I mean, the Lions are very good against the Vikings. That's one of the teams that they always play really good. And I still believe that I think that JJ will be better this game, but I still don't think he'll be enough to win this game. And so I'm taking the Lions.
All right, and then Connor, just to give you some more context, when the Vikings and Lions played earlier in the season, they're in a dome inside, not letting the weather dictate it. When they are in Minnesota, it's the same story. They're also playing a dome. So even though it's in Minnesota in the icy cold weather, these Norsemen against these Lions, they will be indoors, perfectly climate controlled. What do you think?
Yeah, I got to say, I think that their first time facing each other is going to set the tone for the next one. Same setting, same background. I think it's just going to go whatever way the first game went.
Whoever Santa decides.
That's true.
Maybe. I mean, Santa, I don't know if I've been bad or anything, but it's kind of been ghosting me.
I think the question is going to be whether or not have the Lions been bad this year, and hopefully that's a no. So now we go into the final game of the season. The time has not been determined, but it will be on January 4th in Chicago, the home of our little sister Stephanie. But so the Lions at Chicago, they start. How do you think we're going to do against Ben Johnson, former offensive coordinator, and Caleb Williams?
At that point, they're playing for a draft pick. So Lions, not to take anything away from the Lions' win. I just think that Ben Johnson's going to try so hard to show that he can beat the Lions and Dan. He's just going to flop.
I say the Lions, and part of the reason why is Ben Johnson don't even have a clue on how Dan Campbell out coaches all the extra things he brings to the game.
So here's my crazy prediction of the season. This is my equivalent of Steve's crazy call of the game. I think the Lions are going to do something that Dan Campbell has been on record multiple times to not do. I think at that point we'll have locked up a playoff seed, whether it's the 1 seed or not. I don't know if we'll be able to compete for the 1 seed this season. I think we can compete. I don't know if we will be competing at that point. I do think having a playoff seed locked in, I think the Lions being healthy, being confident that they can take on anybody in this league as they should with a team with the talent and the coaching ability that they have. Because I think they sit starters in the last game of this season. That is my crazy prediction. Dan Campbell's against it. Players are against it generally, but I think they will sit starters to conserve their health, expecting to play in that wild card round this season. I can see you're shaking your head, Dad, but that's why it's my crazy play of the game. If you think Barry Sanders can come out of retirement and go rush for 400 yards, I can say the Lions are going to sit some starters in Week 17. So we have the last game of the season. The second game of the season and the very last game of the season, we go to Chicago to play against Ben Johnson to end Ben Johnson's first season as a NFL head coach, former offensive coordinator. Does Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson have figured out their offense in that team, or do the Lions just go and sweep the Bears?
Yeah, it'll be funny because I think that the Lions will be in a playoff spot at that point. I do think they could potentially be already maybe locked up the division depending on what some of the other competitors are doing there, and I feel like the Bears will be right around 500, maybe battling for a winning season or something like that. The funny thing about the Lions, it doesn't matter what the situation is; they're going to come to play, and they're going to still take it to the Bears in the Windy City, even in all the snow, the rain, whatever it's going to be there, and they still win that game, even if it doesn't really mean anything in the grand scheme of things.
No crazy predictions for that final game on January 4th against the Bears in Chicago.
I mean, I think the only way the Lions lose that one is if they've already soundly gotten the number 1 seed, which I don't think could. I mean, I think that could happen, but it's going to be very tough, especially with the schedule. Yeah, the Bears are. I thought the Bears were going to be a lot better, but everything in camp kind of predicting out, otherwise. Like Williams isn't doing well and all that kind of stuff, and we'll see what happens on the field. But I don't think the Bears are also ready for the Lions. I mean, last year I think they got lucky with only a 3-point loss to them on at home, at Detroit on Thanksgiving, and then Lions really handed them a loss pretty easily in the second game. And this team did get better. There's no doubt. The offensive line's better. Defense is pretty good. They got some weapons. But I think where they really are going to struggle is, first, they only have DeAndre Swift as a running back. I don't think they have much behind him, and he's injury prone. And then Caleb Williams, I mean, he's the guy that isn't really meshing well with Ben Johnson, it sounds like. And if those two guys aren't really doing well, I mean, I think the Bears are in for another long season. Again, with the recruiting they did, as far as coaches and players, you thought this team would be, playoff contender, maybe even second place in the NFC North. But from camp, all the things you're hearing on camp, it sounds like they're going to be in a similar spot. And Ben Johnson might be our coordinator again in a couple years.
Yeah. Well, Brad, before we let you go, I do want to get your reaction. So when we were going through our predictions, so I'll have to put Brad's after ours. I do want to throw out my crazy prediction of the season, Brad, if you're ready for this, and I want your reaction to this. So we're going through the schedule, and I talked about what I thought usually last, and we got to the Bears a game in week 17 and week 18, and my crazy prediction for the season is something that Dan Campbell is been on record to say he is against. He doesn't like it. The players seem like they don't want to do it. My crazy prediction is that the Lions, they might not have the 1 seed, but they will have a playoff seed or playoff spot wrapped up. I am predicting the Lions to actually sit starters in that last game against the Bears. That is my crazy, insane prediction. That is my Barry Sanders coming out of retirement to run for a touchdown against the Cowboys. That is my crazy prediction for the season. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I just kind of agreed with you a little bit. If I said the only way they'd lose if they were sitting their starters, but I don't know. I think the Eagles are gonna have a tougher schedule this year as well. I don't see them. What were they last year? They had 3 losses.
14-3. Yeah.
Season. I don't see Minnesota doing that again. The only team I see doing that, and the team that I think is going to be the most dangerous for the Lions to overcome, again, if healthy, is the Rams, because they do have a little bit lighter schedule than the Eagles and the Lions. And, man, that team's stacked. I mean, they got a great running back. They got great receivers. They got a really strong defense. And then Matthew Stafford's a hell of a quarterback. So, and they have good coaching staff. So, I don't know. I've actually done the playoff prediction already for all the teams.
Brad, that's going to be for a future episode, my friend. So you make sure you hold that back. You screenshot that, and we'll bring you back for a future episode for that.
Well, I was just going to say one thing real quick is the teams that kind of were up towards the top that I didn't expect, and it's just because I think they play a little bit weaker schedules, as Minnesota and the Rams. I don't know. I think Washington's not going to be the team that people think they're going to be. I don't think Detroit, I don't think Green Bay is going to be the team they think it's going to be. The toughest thing to predict, though, is the NFC south, but we can save that for later.
Right, and then the first Lions game, hopefully not the last, of 2026 we have in the last game of the season. We go to Chicago, the town our sister lives in, unfortunately in enemy territory. How did the Lions do in their second matchup against the Bears, their last game of the regular season? Tori.
Again, they win.
Yeah.
Nothing
Just
else. They
Sweeps
just
the
win.
NFC North. Okay, Tyler.
Bears are going to already have vacation rentals booked.
All right.
Lions domination.
Take us to Cancun.
Yep.
All set, their bungalows all booked. All right, nice. All right, so that's awesome. So that is the season. So look at below the screen below to see the tally, because I was not keeping track, and Josh will do that in post. All right, and then the final game of the season, a time not quite determined yet because we don't know how the season's going to play out. Are either of these teams going to be competing for a playoff spot? Is the NFC North on the line again like last year? The Lions travel to Chicago to see Benedict Johnson at least one more time. A game that we got to go to last year. Once again, a game that I got injured at. Should have sued him again, but missed out on that opportunity. Calvin, how did the Lions do against the Chicago Bears to end the season?
So I'm seeing this is going to be one of those games where I think that we'll be in prime position to be competing for either that 1 or 2 seed in the NFC. And so I do not believe that Campbell's going to be resting anybody. This is going to be another one of those. Every year that we have, that one close game against the Bears and then that one dominant game against the Bears, and I think this is going to be the dominant game that we have against Chicago.
Well, I mean, it is the end of the season. People are going to get injured probably. You're probably not going to have a full, proper lineup.
You shut your mouth, Connor.
But you can say that for both teams, though.
That's true.
Both
Yeah.
teams
Still,
are gonna
shut
be
your mouth, Connor.
Yeah, we don't talk about injuries here.
How about you, Connor? I think you like the Bears logo quite a bit. It was pretty fearsome.
Yeah.
What do you think? It's going to be a repeat of the same story? Bears sweep the Lions, or you think the Lions are a little scarier, cooler logo this time?
Logo hasn't changed. I got to go with the Bears.
Okay. Thank you, Connor. Thank you, Calvin. I'm sorry your friendship's ending after this.
Yeah, you have us getting swept by the
okay.
Bears. I think you should just go home.
So they can kick you off their property. This is in
Kill
fact.
that man.
All right. Hey, this is parody. This is parody. Josh, bleep that out. All right. Well, Connor, good. Nice meeting you. And it's good to remember your name again. I'm sorry. Calvin,
you're fine.
always a pleasure, brother.
Yes, sir.
But all right, yeah. So that was our prediction for the season. Through the next couple episodes of this preseason, little project we're doing. I think we'll probably invite some more people to share their predictions for the season. You might not see both of us, me and Josh. You may not see either of us. You may see one of us though, just to kind of keep everything rolling. But So